Hello to the three people. Don't let that scare you away. People always get scared away when you say something to them, even though you don't know who it is. You can't see who it is. I'm just glad you're here, walking with me. Hopefully, if you're not walking, maybe you'll be motivated to walk. 30 minutes of movement, 30 minutes of continuous movement daily. Hopefully, you'll be motivated to do that. And honestly, it's just best to go live whenever. People say to put up reminders, but then when you put up reminders, they come when you finish the video and say, I didn't know you were alive. Huh? That happens a lot of times, though. You miss the notification. You don't get the notification. But sometimes I have those usual people that come and say they missed it. I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter what time it is, they'll say that. And again, sometimes you just have to re-trigger it and start it over, get notifications again. And sometimes I'm just kind of wondering, like, you always miss it. Like, right, just as I'm done, you miss it. Anyhow, anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday, a fabulous Friday, and that you will have a wonderful weekend. That's my hope for all of us, is to have a fantastic, fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend. And no matter what day of the week it is, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up and move, move, move. If for some reason you can't move your arms, make sure you move your legs. You can't move your legs, make sure you move your arms. If you can't, twist your waist. Twist your waist. You ever heard of the song Twist and Shout? Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. You can do that sitting in a chair. You can twist and shout sitting in a chair. You can use a stepper sitting in a chair. It's best to get up and extend and bend, move the hip joints, the hip flexors, the knee joints and the ankles. But if you work all day, you don't really have time to get out and do that. You can't do it on your lunch break. You don't want to get sweaty at work. You can sit down and do it at work. At least get your knees and your ankles to moving. At least get your knees and your ankles to moving. It's colder today, y'all. It's colder today than it was yesterday. It really is. I see a little puppy just sitting out here by himself. Wasn't sure what it was at first, but I see that it's a puppy. He's sitting out here by himself. He's watching me. He's watching me watch him. I think it's the puppy that I saw yesterday. The grown man dog that looks like a puppy. The grown man dog that looks like a puppy. Or this little hill. This little hill. I love this little hill. Just gotta push, push, push. Yeah, I know I like to kind of trot up and down the hill, but I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk because I want to get a. If I walk it, I get a good stretch in my legs. Good stretch in my legs. Almost to the top. We're almost to the top. It was a cute puppy though. He's really cute. We got a problem in this town with people keeping their dogs on a leash. If they're in the county, they don't have to, but if they're in the city, they're supposed to. And if I see them loose, I call. I call. It's cold outside. It feels good because it's not extremely cold. Feel good weather. If you can walk while you talk, you're doing great. You're doing really, really good. But sometimes you just want to walk in silence. Sometimes you just want to walk in silence like you do in life in certain situations. It's best to walk in silence. You have your mind works better. Your mind seems to work better for some people. Some people, their mind has to be constantly occupied, which that makes sense, and that's a good thing because there are such things as mind exercises. So as long as it's not racing out of control, it's good. It's good to let your mind do its own exercising as long as it doesn't race out of control. Here's another puppy dog, y'all. I call them puppy dog when they're grown, but they look like puppies. Hey, Bad. Hey, Lunch Pride. Happy early New Year. Happy early New Year to you too, Bad. What you got planned? Hey, what you got planned, Bad? I bet you got something big planned. Be it a family event or just something for you and your hubby, honey. What you got planned? I have no idea what I want to do yet. There are so many things to do to celebrate the ending of one year and the beginning of a new prosperous year, wishing for prosperity. There's church. If those who don't go to church, there's family gatherings slash parties. Then there are your straight up bangers parties where it's just you just let it all loose. You just let it all hang out. So I don't know. I'm undecided. I think church is sounding good to me. Church is sounding good to me. I believe it's a good place to be to celebrate the new year. And sometimes home. Now, of course, home, 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 home. No company, no parties, just you and the family. Just you and the family. It's good how you can have everything at home. You can just be at home and just chill. You can have church at home. You can party at home. You can do all of the things that you do out. You can do it at home. Maybe not to the scale of a venue, and then sometimes you can. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can. See, everybody yesterday asked me what time I was going live, and I went live approximately the time that I said, and I don't see anybody. But that's good. That's okay because a few people have come through here, and sometimes people just come through to chit chat, to look, to watch, to see what you're doing, to see what you're about, and that's good too. Look at this litter. Look at this litter. I haven't had to fuss about litter in a long time. I haven't, but here it is today. Here it is today. It is Friday though. A lot of people are getting ready for their celebrations, whatever celebrations they may be having. And some people are just trying to get off work early, trying to get home, trying to get home. Y'all, leave as much rubbish as you can in the old year. Leave it behind, as much of it as you can. Take along all the good things that you can, all the good people, all the good memories. Make sure you take all of those good things into 2024. Now, of course, we don't want to. take any of the bad, but sometimes you just gotta take it all. But if you have to take it all, make sure you prioritize. Make sure you prioritize. Prioritize. Keep the good things to the forefront, and of course, work on the bad things. And some of those bad things, you can let them go. If it's something that you can let go, let it go. You know, a lot of times we say we're leaving the ugly behind, but you know, sometimes things follow you. So if there's something going on with you that you just can't leave behind and it may not be so pleasant, go into the new year with a renewed and refreshed mindset. A renewed and a refreshed mindset. Hey Jill, happy Friday, Jill. Yes, we oftentimes say we're gonna leave the old stuff behind. Okay, so when you say that, every year, most of us, many of us say that. But then look back over the years and see how much did you really truly leave behind at the beginning of a new year. Some of us went out of the new year and came out of the old year and into the new year with that mindset. But, and this is on us now, some of the things we did, some of the things we partook in, we still did it. We still did it. That's why I say some people make New Year's resolutions and some people don't. You know, that's up to you. I've made New Year's resolutions. I do believe in them. Because to me, they're basically goals. New Year's goals. New Year goals. New Year goals. That's what they are. So they should go along with us every year. As long as it's positive, I'm sure if it's a goal, it's positive. So a lot of times we talk about what we're going to leave behind. And then mid-year, even before mid-year, like the first quarter of the year, you're still dabbling in that same old stuff around those same old people doing that same old thing. And and yes, we say that with good intentions that we're leaving the bad behind. And when someone questions you on it, many of us get a little attitude. I've been one to do that. But then when you think about it realistically, every year we say it. Even for people who say, well, I don't have any resolutions. I'm just going to be better, strive, move differently, do things differently. And what do? You find yourself bumped down, tied down most of the times around the same environments, the same people doing some of the same things, even saying some of the same things that you've already said. One of those things, I'm leaving this behind. I'm leaving this behind. So how many of us truly leave it behind? Or is it just cliche to say it because you may be in your feelings at the time, or you may be in a mood, or you may truly mean it. You may truly mean it. I implore all of us, when we say we're leaving something negative behind or bad behind, if I have a resolution or goal, it would be to truly do it. To truly do it. Hey, cool gamer. To truly do it. Truly leave it behind. Like if it's something that bothers you, that annoys you, that irritates you, that causes you stress, leave it behind. It's kind of like in life when we say drama sells, drama, sex, all that stuff sells. Sometimes for people, it's kind of the same way. They make the goals or the resolutions to leave bad stuff behind, but they find themselves drawn right back to it, right back to it. And that's not to judge or criticize anybody because I've done that. I found myself drawn right back to it. But if you do find yourself drawn back into it or back into certain areas, guess what? You can still move differently. You can still move differently. I say it all the time, and I mean it. Don't let stressed out people stress you out. Don't let bothered people bother you. As soon as they start to stress you out, leave. Leave. And it's not a matter of going wherever you want to go, because honestly, we can go wherever we want to go. People get blocked on this app all the time, but does it stop them from watching? No. That's the one crazy thing about blocking on YouTube. I never understood it. Why block if they can still watch? Now, if they take the time to create a new account or to go into somebody else's account in their home or something like that and watch you, then and to be messy with you, then that's they have some issues. But a lot of times we have to work on ourselves. We have to work on ourselves because I see so many people, and I've said this before. You just call stuff out kind of like I'm not about that. I'm not going over there. And it's like that's okay to do that. It's good to do that. Sometimes people have to know what they're doing wrong to people. But if you're saying that every other week, every other month, that means you never left it alone. You never left it alone. And just like it annoys you, there's something about it that excites you. There's something about it that draws you. It's like kind of like when people want to have the last word. You know how I got how I deal with that? I say have it. Here it is, have it. That burns people up. That burns people up when they want to have the last word. They're determined, they're bound and determined to have the last word. And guess what? You keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They love it. They love that. You're giving them something that they love. So how about give them something that they don't love? Say, here's the last word. You can have it. You can have it. You can have it. Because your mentality and your stress, your intellect is too advanced to continue to go back and forth with somebody who's only going back and forth with you to annoy you, to cause trauma, drama, and trouble for you, and to have the last word. To have the last word. We should start to think that our intellect is too advanced for that. So just let them. And of course, sometimes you have to give some responses. Sometimes to certain situations, you do. But I often say, what do we teach our kids? Like, what do we teach our kids? And for some of us, our grandkids. For anybody who has grandkids, because the way you taught your children will oftentimes be a reflection of the way they teach them. Will they teach them the exact way that you taught them? Will they teach the grandkids the exact way that you taught them? No, and they shouldn't. But it plays a part. It plays a part. They should be individual parents. They shouldn't do everything exactly the way we did it. They should be striving to be better. Jill says, I'm not going back and forth. I would say what I have to say and be done with it. Yep. Yeah. Because they want you to go back and forth. Jill, they want you to go back and forth. Yeah, see this. Oh my God. Yeah, they want you to go back and forth. That's what people thrive off of. That's their thing. That's what they love. That's what they do. That's what they enjoy. To cause you trauma and drama. To cause you trauma and drama. Don't let them. Everyone has the right to respond the way they respond. But I'm just saying, and if you want to go back and forth, you have that right. And you are well within that right. But we're talking about new things that we're trying to accomplish. And we're going to a new year. Let's try to really, really accomplish those things. Because sometimes we say we're going to do something for the new year. We're going to be another way for the new year. And we don't. We don't. I'm guilty of it. Because if we did, we wouldn't always be using terms like I'm a work in progress. We'll always be works in progress, honestly. But I'm just saying, sometimes we want to be able to say that we have progress and really mean it. Yes, Jill. Yes. for content. For content. That's crazy. That's crazy. But they do it for content. It's cold out here, y'all, but it feels so good. I honestly can say it feels good. And I'm like, what type of content is that though? Like on a regular basis. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I hit mute too. But yes, people do it on a regular basis. Hold on one second. One second, guys. Okay, y'all. Something was looking a little strange. So I was trying to check some stuff out. I don't have to hold on one second. Right. Okay. All right, I'll be back. Maybe I left it open. All right. Y'all, see, I don't play by I don't play by my doors, y'all. I came back and I had a door that was open that shouldn't be open. See, that's the one thing I don't like when you have a home with a lot of doors. I hate that because you have a home with a lot of doors, you got to make sure, even with the Yeah, sometimes you have to check things out. Like I had to see what was going on, but I think it was just a slip. Somebody forgot because I don't play about my doors. Don't leave my doors open. Everyone in the house knows not to leave the doors open. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so I hope you guys have had a happy, or having a happy holiday season because it's still the holiday season, everybody. So if you come through here, I hope you've had a Merry Christmas, and I'm wishing and hoping that you have a happy and prosperous and safe New Year because that's the mission, that's the goal, that's what we all strive for, is to have happiness and positivity. And when the things come along that don't make us so happy, to have a strong mind and a strong will to deal with those things. Um, I want to ask you guys something. How many of you guys, it is the holidays. I had someone try to charge one of my cards from Tokyo. So if you come across this live and you come to this point in this live at the 29:22 mark, let me know if you've had an issue. Every year it happens throughout the year, but people always try it, especially during the holidays. This is the first time it's happened to me, but it's happened to many people that I know. I won't say many, but enough. It's happened to enough people that I know. Um, where people they try and use your card information. And my thing is, how is that? I still don't even know. I mean, I know everything is possible with technology. I know hackers do what they do, but in this day and age, like the banks nowadays, I mean, they're using the chips and stuff like that. Some of them, some places now are using the palm. I'm still not with that palm stuff, but they're using chips and all this. Some banks have sleeves for your cards, like sleeves that you can put your cards in to protect them from fraud and things like that. So, how many of you guys have had someone try to use your credit card, your debit card over the holidays? Someone tried to use mine all the way in Japan, and it's usually always a different country. Not always, not always. I said usually always. How does that sound? But it's most of the times it's from a different country. No matter where you are particularly, it's usually from a different country where someone is trying to get your information, make purchases off your card. Your bank has to notify you. They have to deactivate your card. And that can be a big headache, especially if you're traveling, and things like that. Because the way my bank is, they'll let you know. And if you don't get the text or you don't respond within a certain amount of time, they go ahead and deactivate it, which is good, which is good. But if you're, like I said, if you're traveling, or even if you're not traveling, say you're out and about, that can be so inconvenient. It can be so inconvenient to have your card disabled due to fraudulent or potentially fraudulent activity. Now, sometimes you use your card, in a new place or with a different company, especially online. and your bank looks out for you. But even then, it's still nerve wracking, to do it. I love the safety of it. My bank, they let you know. And like one time, it was me. I was using my card, and I was using it at a new place, well, I was online shopping with a new place that I hadn't used it before. And initially I got mad because I'm like, every place that I've shopped online has had an initial transaction. So why this one? And then I had to calm down and think about it. Well, maybe this place just, maybe they've had complaints about this place, or maybe it just seems seedy or shady, or, maybe it's because of the uptick in fraud, especially during the time of the year. So usually they'll let you know. You can reply by saying, yes, it was me, or no, it wasn't. But this time they just deactivated. They deactivated, and I was glad that they deactivated it because it's better to be safe than sorry that they didn't do it. But it's just crazy to me how people are really trying to go into other people's accounts still. And the first thing I think when that happens is like, get a job. Like, why can't you get a job? There are people who can't work, who aren't able to work. And that's sad. And a lot of those people would do anything to work. They would do anything to work. And I even know people who they aren't supposed to be working, but they just have to do something. They'll get a job where they work from home, where they don't have to, do a lot. They just do what it takes. They do what it takes instead of, you know, asking other people or trying, having to depend on other people. Now, if you're in a situation and you just can't work, of course, that's truly understandable. It's truly understandable. But I've known people who said that they wouldn't like maybe get disability. You know, they may have had an issue, but they're not going to even try to get disability because the limited money that is involved with it compared to the money that they can make. And so some of those people, they decide to work from home. They find a good paying job, and they decide to work from home. Or they find a job where it may not be the greatest paying, but it would be better than what they would receive, otherwise. So they do that. It never happened to you, Jill? Well, until this month, until this weekend, I could say it never happened to me either, and it hadn't. Um, my mom it happened with my mom. Someone tried to use her card for Canada, and I think it was Canada and Japan, or Canada and China. It was two of them. I know Canada was one for sure, and it was an Asian country. The other was an Asian country. It was Asian. I can't remember though which one it was for sure. But this past weekend, it was a train system. It was called Smart X or something like that. I don't know. It was some type of, I guess, transit system that they use in Japan. And they tried to charge it, but the funny thing about it is, I guess they were just trying to see if it would work. They charged it for $0.00. That's the craziest thing to me. So my bank alerted me and said that, that they had detected fraudulent activity, but they could be wrong. If it's you, let us know. Yes. If it's not you, no. So I let them know that it wasn't me. And I'm like, what the heck? What? Like, and I don't even know why I even thought these things. I was like, I don't know anybody in Japan, but that's just the whole thing about it being fraud. You're not going to know. Most of the times, when it's something like with your debit card or credit card, unless somebody is being kind of sneaky and shady who's close to you. But yeah, it was Japan. And I was like, this is crazy. So they deactivated it. And the reason it was inconvenienced me at the time was like all the shopping and stuff. I was done with that. But I just don't don't steal. Stop. I can't stand a thief. I don't care if they're a thief. I don't care what type of thief it is. Don't steal from me. Like, I cannot stand it when people steal from one another. Like, my thing is ask whoever it is. But we know that when people are committing that type of fraud, a lot of times they don't even need the money. They're just money hungry. They're just greedy. I've seen actors and actresses who have been caught stealing. No, they don't need the money, but it's just something about it. It's something about the thrill of taking something that doesn't belong to them and not having to pay for it and not having to work for it. Jill says, listen, I'm working and having a rough time. Okay. And then for someone to try and steal from you, I'm like, I'm not rich. I'm not wealthy. Those help through the grace of God, and just to have someone else try and steal from you, and it's a good thing that the bank did catch it, because I've heard that people say that people get away with it. They've gotten away with it. And all they can do, fortunately, they can have their money reimbursed and everything, and they can get the account or the card deactivated, shut down. But that is such an inconvenience. It's such an inconvenience. And people who do that, they think it's funny. They think it's funny. And I'm like, was it really worth it? Because unless you got thousands and thousands, but you know what? I guess it is worth it, because there's no telling how many people they do it to successfully. Jill says it's really rough. Prayers to everyone having a rough time. Yes, prayers to everyone out there who's having a rough time. Prayers to everyone. And you know what? A rough time could be, you have a home, you're warm, but you're check to check. That can be a rough time. So imagine people who are homeless, or people who are pillar to pillar. They don't have a place to stay of their own. They're living at someone else's home or someone else's apartment. They feel kind of like they're a burden. They really don't know when they'll be able to get on their own feet. So people are having it rough, really, really rough. And then, that goes into the conversation of, why does this happen? Why does this happen in this country? Like, why? Now, that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other few conversations, many conversations. Like, why are people having it so rough? Why have they ever had it this rough? I don't know a time, other than during the Depression and things like that. Why should you have it rough in a country that's supposed to be so advanced, in a country where you're supposed to be able to just, you know, reach for the skies, like reach for the stars, just have at least the minimum everyone should have is a place to live, a place to lay their head. Jill says, I can't stand the thief either. Me either, Jill. I cannot stand the thief. You work hard for yours. I can't stand the thief. And I honestly can't stand a beggar. Now, I understand a beggar more than I understand the thief, because you never know what the beggar's story is. They may have been catching it for a long, long time. You know, they just may have been catching it for a long time, just hadn't been able to catch that break financially, um, as far as financial stability, you know, and in other ways. And they just haven't caught the break with having the means to do the things that they need to do and to take care of themselves and their family. So I can understand a beggar a lot more than I can understand a thief. I will say that. Um, but you have some people who beg because they think it's cute. You know, they beg for the fun of it. They're constantly asking people for things because they don't want to work. So it's really crazy to me to see somebody who can work, but they'd rather beg instead of going to work. And those are the main people who criticize others. So I've seen people who truly have issues, whereas they may, receive disability, and those people still go out and work, because when you receive disability, you can work a certain number of hours. You can. So those people, they get their disability and they go out and they work. They work because I guess I understand why the amount of hours they can work is limited, because I guess the government feels, well, if you're going to work and make this much money, then they're not going to give you money. I guess that's how they look at that. Um, and I can see that, because everybody would do it if that was the case, or everybody who would get approved for disability would do it. But then you have some who don't qualify for disability, haven't applied for disability, don't want disability, don't need disability. They'd rather just beg. Now, those, I can't stand those type beggars. So there are different types of beggars. And those I cannot stand. But sometimes people are begging, because they truly are catching it. They truly, truly, truly need help. So then to have someone that steals, I cannot. Jill says, I know what it feels like to struggle, but I would never steal from anyone. Exactly, Jill, exactly. I would never beg anybody for nothing. I've suffered in silence many times. And that's how a lot of people are, Jill. They won't. That's why when I do see someone that asks for something, I don't, it depends on who it is, they're not a beggar. I know. Because there are some people, they will go through it and they won't say a word. They won't say a word. It's like you happen to find out, or you slip up and you find out some type of way. And then the first thing family and friends will say is, why didn't you ask me? Well, a lot of times it's because they just, one, they think that you're going to criticize them, talk about them. But for two, some of them don't even think that. They're just strong-willed. And they feel like where there is a will, there is a way. And they don't want to ask anybody else. They don't want to put what they feel would be a burden on someone else. So, they're just strong-minded and they're strong-willed. And they're not going to ask. They're not going to ask, and they're not going to you know, be what they feel like is a burden to someone else. They're just not going to do it. Yeah, yeah, Jill. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I didn't want to say pride because I didn't want to offend you. And see, that's what, like, I'm getting better. We have to think about the words that we say, the words that we use. I didn't want to say pride because I didn't want to offend you or anybody else. But that's honestly what it is. And in that situation, it's good to have pride. It's good to have pride until it's just too much, until it's just too much. It's good to have pride because usually people with that type of pride, the pride that you're talking about, they find a way. Like I said, their will is too strong, and that plays into the pride part of it. They have pride and they have a strong will, and where there's a will, there's a way. And so a lot of times they just struggle. They struggle in silence until it happens. Until the way comes. Until the way comes, they pray, and they struggle, and then a way is made. So yes, it is good to have pride. Pride is a prideful and a good thing to have because it lets you understand the struggle. And even with having pride, I'm sure that if you saw somebody that you knew and loved struggling, and you knew that they were struggling, I'm sure, I bet you still will help them, Jill. I bet you still will help them. And that's why I say I cannot stand a thief, because before you steal from me, ask me. If I can help you, I'm going to help you. If I can't, then I can't. At the least, I'm going to try to direct you to someone or some place who can. At least I'm going to try and direct you to someone or to a place who can. Jill says, I do know that pride can hurt you. Yes, it really can. It can, Jill, because sometimes you're just suffering in silence and suffering in silence. And then when someone does find out, what's going on with you, it's like they could have helped you long ago, or they could have found you help long ago. They could have put you in contact with someone or some authority or some organization that can help you. So it's good to be prideful, but when your pride, when it starts to get to the point where it's hurting you, I think some of us need to learn how to come out of it. And I've often heard people say that, yeah, I had too much pride. Um, I only think it's too much when it begins to hurt you. But like you were saying, Jill, sometimes there have been times when you struggled, but you came out of it. So sometimes pride does make us, it builds the character that we have. So when you encounter some people, you understand where their character comes from, especially once you start to listen to them and they start to tell you a little bit about themselves or a little bit of, their story. But as far as just being a thief, I cannot stand a thief. Someone who begs, I cannot stand that unless I know that this is a person who's just not doing this for kicks. If a person isn't doing it for kicks, I understand. If it comes down to my kids, if at some point I needed something for my kids, you gosh darn right, I will beg you. I will beg you for my kids. I will beg you for my kids where I won't beg you for myself. But even that has to come to a point where it's absolutely, absolutely unavoidable. Jill says, "Oh yes, I just have a hard time receiving, but I love helping others." Yes, and that's usually how it is, Jill. Most people who have a hard time receiving help, they truly open their hearts to others. They truly open their hearts to others. This conversation is getting good, y'all, but my phone is about to go out. So I may come back later. Jill, let us know if you're going live. On that, I'm going to wish you guys peace, positivity, and prosperity. And just know nobody is perfect. We're all imperfectly, perfectly us. So come back if I come back, y'all. Bye, y'all.